Self-care to me is bringing in the moments of joy, anything that brings you joy. And so it doesn't have to be, like you said, I was that person that would be wait until we're on the vacation to do something nice for myself. And so now it's about, I can do 10 things in a day that bring me joy.
Oh, you're talking my language now, because that's what I see in my people too, is the anxiety and the spin of all of the things on their list is what they're paying attention to. And so they're just in fight or flight. And the moment that they shift that attention towards joy and what's going well, it's like, oh, there's a lot of stuff that's actually going pretty well. Welcome to everyone listening and to my new friend, Asha Bohannon. I'm so glad to have you here. And so for those of you that don't know about Dr. Asha, she is the president and CEO of Patient Advocacy Initiative Wellness Group. And so she's really focused on working with patients through their diabetes journey to help them create plans for their well-being and see that that wellness is possible even with diabetes. And so that's part of her practice. And then the rest of her practice is really focused on helping new pharmacist entrepreneurs create a business that supports their life and well-being. So she's working with health and wellness with patients and with businesses. I'm really excited about the conversation with you. And I also know that you bring it home to your two boys. So you're really looking at wellness everywhere, including in your family. So welcome, Dr. Asha. We're going to dig into your well-being first. So how do you create space for well-being in the midst of all of this work that you do?
Oh, thank you so much for having me here, Bridget. I'm excited to talk about this because it has been a journey and it's a continuous journey, right? We know that there's nothing that's just, it's one and done kind of thing. So I actually fell into really working on my well-being after having gone through sickness. And so I let myself falter. I'm a people pleaser and I am I'm a person who wants to do I'm a nurturer. I want to do everything for everybody else. And I was always last on the totem pole, if there at all. And my health started to fail and I started to realize that just wasn't an option anymore. If I wanted to create the impact and, for my family, my patients, my clients, everybody that surrounds me in my community, if I wanted to do that, I had to make a lot of changes. And so that's where it really started for me, was thinking through, what does that look like? So it took a huge mindset shift to be able to do that, but years into it, so well worth it in the end. So I'm really excited to be able to share a little bit of that with you guys today.
Oh, yeah. And thank you. And I appreciate you acknowledging that it often takes like the 2x4 between the eyebrows to say, healthcare provider, you need to pay attention to your health.
Yeah.
I see it a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. And I do too, working with the clients that I work with. And so I definitely bring that perspective to it when I work with them, which is why that's such an important piece to me. Whether it is health and the diabetes side of things, or just, we all need it. We all need that in our lives to really be, it's that whole oxygen mask in the airplane. And I know a lot of people say that and we hear that and we laugh about it, but it's so true. You have to be able to fulfill and fill your cup before you can fill somebody else's. You can't pour from an empty cup. So, and so that's really important to do on a regular basis. It needs to be done. It just can't be, we're not just talking I need to go get a massage once a quarter or once a year or once every other year, or whatever it is. It's the day-to-day self-care that needs to happen.
Yeah. And tell me more about how you talk to your people about self-care, because I agree with you that it isn't just when we're on vacation or when we go get a massage, but how do you describe self-care?
Self-care to me is bringing in the moments of joy, anything that brings you joy. And so it doesn't have to be, like you said, I was that person that would be wait until we're on the vacation to do something nice for myself. And so now it's about, I can do 10 things in a day that bring me joy. It could be, for me, I have 2 little boys, and just over the last several years, it's getting into a tickle fest, or we love dance parties. So we just, even if it's a 5-minute, throw something on the Alexa device, and we just start dancing and goofing around. Like those things, or just getting into a giggle fest. Like last night at dinner, I don't know what it was. There must have been something in the water, because we just were cracking up. And so those things and being present in those moments, I know that you talk all about mindfulness. That is so important to your mindset and your well-being for the day. And it doesn't take a whole lot, right? But it's something to be intentional about as you're going through it. And so that's how I've changed what I'm doing. It's not, I still do those fun extra things when I'm able to do so, but those are just the icing on top of the cake, right? It's the other stuff that we need to do on a regular basis to keep us going. And this is what I try to instill in all of my patients and clients is, let's find those moments throughout the day to bring us joy, bring us fulfillment, make us feel, just good in those moments, to be able to do what we need to do in other areas of our lives.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. So it's almost like a joy inventory.
It is. I love. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we all have heard about gratitude journals and keeping track of gratitude. Do you do something specific like that with your people, or is it just this pay attention to the joy?
No, I do. I'm very, very big on writing things down. I love, and I'm a pen and paper kind of girl. So you can do it anywhere you want. We have technology all over the place. Absolutely great to do so. But I still have a gratitude/joy journal. And so I do pick, I try to do at least 3 things. Sometimes it's 1. Sometimes you miss it. It's okay. There's no such thing as perfect. I'm going to strike a lot of chords on that one, but, but it's true. I had to break free from a lot of perfectionism, but finding one thing at a minimum that you're grateful for in the day, and then finding one moment that brought you joy. And that's how I really got started, is by writing these things down to show myself that there were more moments that I was missing.
Oh, you're talking my language now, because that's what I see in my people too, is that the anxiety and the spin of all of the things on their list is what they're paying attention to. And so they're just in fight or flight. And the moment that they shift that attention towards joy and what's going well, it's like, oh, there's a lot of stuff that's actually going pretty well.
Yeah, 100%. And talking to that, the spin, I know you call it the spin cycle, right? So I love the spin cycle, and it's like a vortex. You're in a vortex when you're in this mental space or this mindset. And for a lot of us as pharmacists, I'm going to talk to that for a second, because that's a major part of my clientele is, we've been in this vortex for many, many, many years. And it's difficult to get out unless you have a guide to say, let's pull you out of this. Let's find those moments. Let's find those things. Let's find the thing that's going to fulfill you when it comes to starting a business, when, whatever that is. And then we all know that a lot of chronic illness in general starts from a chronic inflammation, or that chronic stress, or that chronic fight or flight mode that we stay in. And that's where we're all living most of the time these days. And I think so it's just taking that mindset and saying, okay, well, let's find that one thing. Let's find that other thing. Let's find that other thing, to be able to pull yourself out. And let's break the pattern, break the cycle of chronic inflammation, chronic stress, that fight or flight. We're not running from saber-toothed tigers anymore. So we need to figure those moments out and help ourselves out, because what I'm seeing, obviously, with diabetes is that it stems from a lot of the chronic inflammation and chronic things that we're doing over a period of time. It didn't just happen overnight. Right. Same thing I'm seeing with, the pharmacists or any healthcare providers, really, that are going through stress, which is almost everybody at this point in time. Is that over time we fall into illness because we have not taken care of these things up to that point. And so I like to try to stop it before it happens. I like for people to learn from my mistakes, and know that, hey, hey, this is not the way to go. I don't want you to fall into illness before it like hitting you in the face with a 2x4. Right. So
yeah. And I know your people appreciate that practical approach too. And I'm curious about your definition of well-being. So you're talking about reducing the stress, but how do you talk to your diabetes folks in particular about what well-being is?
it's a very holistic approach. And I know that word is thrown around a lot these days, but it's looking at you as a whole person. So I actually have a 7 steps to harmony process that I put my patients through. And I actually use it with my pharmacist clients too. I don't put it in that light, but I use the same concepts.
Right.
But it's really looking at every single aspect of your life, and diving in deep, because it takes a deep dive to be able to figure out where have you been, where are you at, and where do you want to go.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we don't have the time to look at that for ourselves, or we just don't even know where to start. And that's what I'm seeing with my patients in particular, is that they just don't even know where to start. They're in the vortex. They're in the eye of the storm. It's really hard to see on the other end of that. And so that's what I want to help them do, is to really break it down, give them things in bite-sized chunks of how to take care of themselves in a more healthier, all-encompassing way.
Yeah, I love that idea of holistic and wholeness, which is different than health. And so you can help them find those strategies that help them feel whole in the midst of their health journey.
Absolutely. And I feel like that's where you need to start.
Yeah.
That is where you need to start, is you need to feel like a whole person. You are not your illness.
Yes. Thank you.
Right. So that is just a journey that you are going through that we can get to the other end of. That is not who you are. And so it's really understanding, who are you and how do we break free from the things that have been potentially causing where you are right now.
Right. And that's the mindset shift too. It's that I'm not diabetes. I'm not diabetic. I'm a person who is managing diabetes. So I love those language reframes to help people understand that there's so much more than a diagnosis.
100%. So, we don't use the phrase, or I don't anyway. I know, I think industry wide, we're just not using this anymore, is that I am, you don't say I am a diabetic.
Right.
Any longer.
Right.
I have diabetes.
Right.
I am a diabetes patient, but I am not diabetic, right? That is not okay, because you're totally able to pull yourself out of these illnesses that you have, by getting the right guidance.
Yeah, I love that you said that, because that's where I like to play too, is in that mindset space of really listening to what the words that we're saying about ourselves, because it matters. So tell me more about when you're listening to the words you say about yourself and your journey, what's changed for you?
Oh, gosh, there's so much. I've been to the point of, all the I'm not enoughs, is what I'm going to call it. I've done the shoulding on myself so much. I still, but nowadays I catch myself if I do that. So it's just really building that self-awareness of what you've done when it happens, and then being able to pull yourself out in the moment. Is really important. But, as far as I'm concerned, we're all, there's nothing that you or I can't say that we probably haven't experienced already. So when we're hearing this from patients or clients, you're like, yes, I know. Yes, I know. Yeah. So we're kind of living proof that it can be done, that you can pull yourself out of those negative mindset patterns. So I've used, like I said, I use a lot of gratitude, joy journaling. I do a lot of positive affirmations, and I will be 100% honest with you. I use my kids.
Awesome.
Because I know, yes, I know. Like, I think we've always said this, like one of the phrases that you always hear is, don't talk to yourself the way you wouldn't talk to somebody else.
Right. Right.
And so I use my kids for that. I'm like, if I would not say that to my child or allow them to say that about themselves, because I certainly don't, my kids will tell you, like, I am correcting them all the time about, don't say that. Like, okay, let's flip that to a positive right now. Like, we're not going to say this negative thing. And so I always think through that. I'm like, okay, if I wouldn't let them say it, then I need to not be saying it to myself. And I have to be that example for them that I'm trying to get them to be, because I can't show them like, oh, make the comment like, I'm so stupid in the moment. And then I tell them not to do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Right? They're always listening.
They are.
Yeah.
They have little rabbit ears. Like, they just literally hear anything that comes out of my mouth. And so I always have to think through. And then that has really tremendously helped me in this whole well-being journey of just thinking through, what is it that I would not want them to hear me say?
Yeah. Yes. I used a similar concept with my daughter too. What am I teaching her about work with my language about work and time specifically?
Yep.
I don't have time to take care of myself. Like, that was the last thing I wanted to teach her. So I really appreciate you reflecting that is an opportunity to, what are the mean things I'm saying about myself? I would never want to say that to my kids or hear them say that about themselves.
Yep.
Yeah. And so I suspect that's a place you spend a lot of time with patients.
Yes. Yeah, I absolutely. So when I talk to patients and I hear what they're saying, it's in the moment I'm flipping the script for them.
Right.
Because that is how I get them to start doing it for themselves. You have to have somebody say, wait, I just heard you say, I can't do X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
Number one, we're going to flip that and say, I can, and we're going to come up with a plan.
Yeah.
And so that's really how we need to do that, because we can do anything. We really can, I promise. Yeah. But it's this idea of I can't because of I don't have enough time, because I don't know X, Y, and Z. I'll say this with my pharmacist clients, and you know this probably just as well as I do. I can't do this because I don't have this certification, or I don't have this thing, whatever that is. And you're like, wait a second, let's really look at that. Let's break that apart, because I bet you I can find a loophole for you.
Yeah, or someone that's already doing it, right?
Exactly.
So
I bet you I
really
can figure that out for you. Yes.
Yeah, no, and yeah, we have some crossover in the work that we do with other entrepreneurs. And so we're well aware of the mindset for ourselves and for our people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So when you notice, and I'm sure this happens even for you as a ninja, when you notice yourself getting off track, what are the habits that bring you back online, and how do you notice it? What are your triggers?
Yeah, no, the triggers are, I really started to become very aware of physical triggers in my body. So it could be tighter shoulders. I start to get tension headaches. And I think I used to live with tension headaches and didn't realize that they were there. So I've gotten rid of them. So now when they show up, I'm like, okay, I need a break. I need to step away and do something different. A stomach, it like just butterflies in the stomach, or I can feel something in that. So just different physical triggers that are like, okay, I need to go and take a break. I will catch myself holding my breath when I'm in a moment sometimes. So it is around becoming more self-aware of these triggers. And then I think through, okay, what just happened to make this physical symptom appear? And so I'm trying to avoid those things in the future, or if I know that they're going to come up again, be able to maybe preemptively set my mindset right.
Yeah.
And so those are kind of the things that I started doing and that I do right now. And to kind of alleviate some of those things, like I said, I either try to set it up beforehand if I can have my crystal ball with me. But if I can't, then it's a matter of, okay, take a step away, go for a walk, do something more healthy based, right? So like you said, it's not necessarily just about the health and the numbers on the lab tests, it's the well-being aspect of it. So what can I do that's a well-being move? And I'll tell you, I used to love to veg out in front of Netflix and zone out just as much as the next person. But what I realized is that was not doing me any good.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know,
That's a definite mindset shift to go from I'm feeling tired, and so we would swing to off.
yeah,
Watch
yeah.
the Netflix. Yeah. So what's kind of that in between place, but I feel really good. Yeah.
That makes you feel better. And for me, those moments are when I get overwhelmed, when I get overly exhausted because I've pushed myself too hard and not taken the breaks.
Right.
That is when I swing to the off button and just want to zone out. Or, some people talk about procrastination, like they're so overwhelmed, they don't know what to do, they don't know where to start, so they just check out. And so before I get to those points, I'm trying to catch it and do something else so I don't get to the point of overwhelm. I love walking. I think going outside and just taking a walk. There's something that I learned how to do a couple of years ago called earthing.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
Love earthing, where you just take off your socks and shoes, you walk outside onto the grass for 1, 2, 3, 5 minutes, whatever you got, get some nice vitamin D and just breathe.
Yeah.
And it literally resets my mind. So then I can come into that place where I was overwhelmed and say, okay, I've got this whole different perspective to it. Yeah.
I love that the use of nature in that very skillful way, to just reset, because then you've got beauty and awe and vitamin D and you've got all the things, you've got gratitude. It's all kind of wrapped in that little capsule. And so a lot of people use that sort of practice to get themselves back to center. And some people use it as a spiritual practice as well. So it's that one's like at least a 3 for.
Yeah. Oh, it's a 10 for, if that's a word.
Yeah, right. 10 for.
Right? Like for me, I'm like that. Just it totally. If I'm able to do that, that is what I'm doing in the time that I need it, for sure. And you brought up spiritual practice. I wanted to mention this too. So one thing that we hear a lot about these days, or we have been for a while, is morning routines.
Yes.
And I think, some people are like, they're getting up and they're just jumping into the fire. They're putting out fires because, their kids wake them up, or, you're just jumping out of bed because your phone dinged or whatever the case may be. And so I know that for many, many years, that's how I lived. And it set up my day for a lot of heartache and headache. And I kept telling my husband, my poor husband, that I felt like a firefighter, not a pharmacist, because I was literally all day putting out fires instead of actually being able to be proactive in any way. So setting up a morning routine, and morning routine is not just, obviously you get dressed, you brush teeth, all those things that you're going to do. Those taking care of your body things are part of that. Yes. But we also have to take care of our mind.
Yes.
And our mindset first thing in the morning is so vastly important to setting up the tone for the rest of the day. I'm going to caveat and say it doesn't mean that the rest of your day is going to be perfect, but it sets up your mindset to be able to handle things that come your way and those fires that do come your way. And so whatever that looks like for you, I mean, I think, there's a lot of different people out there saying, oh, my morning routine's this and my morning routine's that. So like with my patients and my clients, I don't tell them what I do. I look at what are the things that are important to them.
Exactly.
And we build out what does that look like for you and your life and your family in that moment. Because I work with patients that don't have any kids. I have, I work with patients and clients who have, 5 kids. It doesn't look like my life and my family. And so I want them to be able to figure out with my help, how can I fit this in? And the other piece to the morning routine is it doesn't have to be an hour-long routine. It is.
I so appreciate.
Yes, it's about what can you fit in, but what are the top, 1 to 3 things that you can do in the morning to set your day up for success? And that's really important. And then on the flip side of that is I also have an evening routine. And my evening routine sets me to be able to do my morning routine the next day in a much more efficient, effective way. And it just helps the flow of the next day go so much better. And so those are things to think about.
I appreciate the practicality of that. And I love that you help people structure a routine that works for them. It's so important that they're at the center of that. And it sounds beautiful. And I appreciate the tips there. It reminds me that I always hit my morning routine. I don't always hit my evening routine. It reminds me that matters. So thank you for that tip.
Absolutely. Yes.
I would love for you to tell people how to get in touch with you, because you've got some really wonderful programs for patients as well as people starting a business. And then I'd also love for you to talk about what's next. What are you excited about?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for that. So to get in touch with me, you can go to my website. It's PAIWellnessGroup.com. So PAI Wellnessgroup.com. All my information's on there. You can follow me on social media at PAI Wellness Group. My YouTube channel also at PAI Wellness Group. Would love to have you guys come check it out. I actually did a wonderful interview with Dr. Bridget. So you can check that out there. And then as far as what's coming up next, I'm super excited. I do have wonderful programs for patients with pre and type 2 diabetes, as well as we are launching year-long business consulting programs in the Center of Excellence. So we've got an Impact Pharmacist version, as well as specific to diabetes, called the Diabetes Busters Center of Excellence. So anybody that's interested in kind of learning more, please contact me, and I'd love to just have a chat and see if we can, if I can help you in any way to find the right answers for you, whether it's on your health and wellness journey or your business journey. Come find me.
Thank
you for this opportunity.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see what comes out of this collaboration either. We're going to have a good time.
Yes,
so for
absolutely.
everybody listening, check her out. She's amazing. Big heart, willing to share, and I really appreciate your time. So thank you for playing.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye.